Hi guys, my name is Ahmed. Today I'm going to talk about WebSocket. Actually, this is my first YouTube video, so anyway, I hope you will understand. So, in the beginning, to understand the significance of WebSocket, let's first take a look at HTTP architectures. So basically, HTTP is a protocol for request response in a server-client model, where the client is typically a web browser submit an HTTP request to the server, and then the server responds with the requested resource, such as HTML page as well as additional resources about the page. So HTTP actually defines how messages are formatted and transmitted, and what action web server and browser should take in response to various commands. For example, when you enter URL in the browser, this is actually send HTTP command to the web server, directing to fetch and transmit a request for the web page. So you write here, for example, hotmail.com in the browser, and you hit enter. You request this URL from the server, then the server process your request and send you a response back. So it sounds okay, but why WebSocket? Why we need any other architecture? Oh, so because HTTP is not practical in some web application. Let's take a look at the weakness point of the HTTP. So first thing is HTTP is stateless, which means treat each request as unique and independent. There are advantages, of course, for the HTTP being stateless. But like for example, the server doesn't need to keep information about the session and doesn't require storage of that data. However, this also means that redundant information about the request is sent for every HTTP request and response. So each time you hit link, it sends a request and server has to send a response back. So this is sometimes, as I said, is not good in some applications. And the second thing is binatural HTTP is also half duplex. And what does it mean? It's half duplex. So if we back to this slide, we mean that the traffic flows in a single direction at a time. So the client sends a request to the server, this is one direction, and the server responds to the request, this is one direction back. So being half duplex in some cases is inefficient. Like imagine, for example, imagine a phone conversation where every time you want to communicate, you must press a button. So yeah, it's like a walkie-talkie, basically. Yeah. So you can talk to each other at the same time. You need to press the button, talk, message receive, then the one you are talking to has to push the button and talk, and so on. So as I said, it's in some applications this is not practical. So yeah, and other problem with HTTP. So normally, when a browser visits a web page, an HTTP request is sent to the server that hosts the page. The web server acknowledges the request and send response back to the server. So in many cases, the information being returned, this information, for example, such as stock market news, traffic information, weather information, can still by the time the browser render the page. If your user need to get the most up-to-date real-time information, then you can constantly manually refresh the page, and this is obviously impractical. So if you need to get real-time data, you need to refresh the page. But if you think about it, you would say, okay, but I can see, for example, real-time data in, for example, stocks market or news. So how does it work exactly? So of course there is a way around, like these three things. This is mainly the three ways around. pooling, long pooling, and streaming. We will not get into details for these three things, but just give just small overview about these three things. So what is pooling? So pooling is still it's request response thing. I mean, it's still HTTP. It's working with HTTP architecture, but how it's get the real-time data? Mainly, it's a regularly time synchronized call where the client makes a request to the server to see if there is any information available for it. So the requests are made at regular intervals. So, for example, the client make a request every 10 seconds and make a request to the server and server responds back. So it's the same here. It's exactly the same. But these requests it's automatic request and it's in interval based. So long pooling is actually more or less the same. So we skip that at the moment. The third thing is streaming. Streaming in general, the client send a request and the server send and maintain an open response that is continuously update and kept it open. So the server update the response whenever a message is ready to be delivered. But why it's bad? Why streaming is not is impractical? It's impractical because it's kind of open response. So it's increased latency of the message delivery. Latency is very high. If you don't know what does latency mean, please Google it. So that's bring us to WebSocket. So WebSocket is naturally full duplex bidirectional. With WebSocket, your HTTP request becomes a single request to open WebSocket connection and reuse the same connection from the client to the server and the server to the client. So WebSocket basically reduce latency because once the WebSocket connection is established, the server can send messages as they become available. For example, unlike pooling, WebSocket makes a single request. The server doesn't need to wait for a request from the client. Similarly, the client can send messages to the server at any time. This single request greatly reduces latency over pooling, of course, which means it um, it sends a request at interval regardless of whether messages are available or not. So yeah, as you can see here, for example, so here in polling model, the client has to send a request to get response back. But for WebSocket to just send a request once and being upgraded to WebSocket, then the server can send response. It's not response, just can send frame of data, something like this. So WebSocket consists of network protocol and API that enable you to establish a WebSocket connection between a client application and the server. A WebSocket connection is established by upgrading, as I said, the HTTP protocol to WebSocket protocol during the initial handshake between the client and server over the same underlying TCP connection. So once established, WebSocket messages can be sent back and forth between the method defined by WebSocket interface. So what is WebSocket interface? So WebSocket interface, of course, has introduced in HTML5. So don't want to be so theoretical here. Let's take some examples. So let's start. So WebSocket actually it's completely event-driven apps. It's used that. And yeah, right now just write code using JavaScript and HTML just to see how it works in real life. So just I open script tag, close it, script Yeah, declare variable, call it webs, referring to WebSocket, and then create a new instance from object WebSocket. And the constructor here, I should provide the endpoint for the server that configure as a WebSocket server. So for just for learning purposes, you can write WS. It's so in general, when you refer to endpoint, you write HTTP. But in WebSocket case, you write WS if you're working with unencrypted connection. If you're working with encrypted connection, you write WSS. So in my case, just write WS because it's not encrypted connection. So yeah, echo dot socket. Yeah, so this is just a echo server. So, and let's see the first event handler. It's the open connection. So how to open connection with the WebSocket server? We just write webs dot on open equal function parameter e. Yeah, just here we would like to see if the really connection has been opened or no. Log connection is opened, for example. Let's put it like this. Yeah, we can also inside on open event, you can send messages to the server. You can say, for example, web this is the variable dot send. You can write here this is string, take string argument parameter and say hi there, anything, just and close. So now here we declare this variable, and in the constructor we provide the endpoint for the WebSocket, and yeah, and here we send something, and we would like to see if the server really receive this message or no. So how we know? We can know by writing just yeah, web the same variable dot on message equal, yeah, function parameter. Here we go. Yeah. Yeah, so we say, for example, if just to ensure that everything fine. So we see here if the type of e-data is string, then write, for example, in our console console dot log, oh here for example message received. Okay, we'll just provide this parameter, take 3 parameters. Okay, it's quite easy. If not, we just copy this one here. So else say Mm, we can say not. It's no, it's not good to say not received, but rather we can say other message received. Let's close here, and this string also we should close right here. So, yeah, let's save this as HTML, but just we can write doc type HTML, and we can then save this file as HTML. So I saved the file. Yep. Okay. And then I open the page we just created. Press Ctrl Shift I. As you see here, connection is open, message received, and hi there. So we have done our code. We say if the type is string, tell us that message received. Otherwise, the other message received. And this message the server has received. So everything is fine. So let's take another example. We tried to use our previous example, and we had some code. So yeah, we have here, as we said, we define our server. We here open the connection. We send a message. Yeah, we send a message, and here we kind of say, yeah, if it's received, show me that it's received. But we did not close the connection between the client and server. So maybe we can add in the beginning, we can add the closure event. So we say the same wait is hot on, not on close, I believe, yeah. Again equal function, and then we pass e. We say console network connection closed. Okay. So also we can handle any kind of error by using this event webs dot on error. So as you see, it's completely event driven. Okay, function console log. There is an error. Okay, I think we almost write all the event. Yeah, but let's show that in different way. Let's pretend that in different way. We can here have, for example, we can write header, right? Come on, not header, just head. And we can close the head tag. And we can write body here. We can close the body as well. And we can close HTML tag. Okay, so we have here complete HTML document. Then we can just create a div, give it ID equal output, for example. Close the div. Okay. Okay, so then we can create here a function. We forget semicolon here. Okay, we can write a function here saying, for example, this title show output. And yeah, show output. And we can say var, for example, to s equal to document dot create element b. So what we are trying to do here is to create paragraph tag. Okay, and then say s dot style output. We just say make a break and then say is the content equal to so we need here to pass actually we can say the content, so we can say this equal to the content. Okay, fair enough. Yep, and then say we can get our elements, which name was output. We just copy it. Say output dot pen child and put our s here. That's it. Okay, so we can use actually this one show output instead of log, just to present it in a different way. We can copy it here. Oops. Copy. Can copy that here. So now we're not using console anymore. We will show our result in the HTML page, not on the console. Okay. Yeah. Yep. Okay, let's run that. Save. Yeah. Let's save it. Yes. And refresh the page. As you can see here, connection is open, message received. So we can add some extra stuff. For example, we can add we can add here in the message section. For example, we can add we can say, for example, hi there. Okay, this is the message, and So actually we should remove this, but this is JavaScript, can work anyway, even if you provide wrong parameters. Yeah. Okay, and on close. Okay, let's save it. Let's refresh. So connection is open. Hi there, message received. But the strange thing is the connection is not closed yet. So yeah, why the connection is not closed? So yeah, I found what is wrong exactly. So I supposed to write on the message here, close the connection. So I say if the type is string, say message received, then close the connection. So I should say w web, oh, come on, web is dot close. Here we go. Set save. Let's open again. Refresh. Ah, you see here, connection is closed. So we have open connection. We send the message, the server receive it, and we close it. Is it not fantastic? I hope you found this video useful for you. Thanks for watching.